day that goes by, every moment you will find there's a broken heart, a tear is cried, a wish is made that never comes true. And somewhere, someone needs to be found. Oh, the things we do, the things we say, are gentle rays of hope that touch us all each day. Oh, each day. Yes. The things we do, the things we say, these are the greatest gifts we'll ever give away. The things we do. Oh, yeah. Now every day in this life, every moment you'll find a heart is healed, a dream is found, a tear is dried, and laughter is heard. And somewhere, someone's life will be changed. Oh, the things we do, the things we say, are gentle rays of hope that touch us all each day. The things we do, the things we say, these are the greatest gifts we'll ever give away. The things we do. Oh, every hand that has been held has reached out for somebody else. In every move we make, every day, we pass along this way. The things we do, yes, the things we say, are gentle rays of hope that touch us all each day. Oh, the things we do, the things we say, these are the greatest gifts we'll ever give away. The things we do. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The things we do. So when you wake up in the morning and you find someone who's lost and lonely, just take them by the hand and help them find their way. When you're walking down the street and you see a man who has no food to eat, just reach into your pocket and help make his day. I have a dream. I have a dream. With this day, I'm gonna make somebody smile. I'm gonna make somebody smile. I'm gonna make a difference in your life. With this day, I will take the world. You can take
So we are going to talk about You Are Part of the Field, Be the Peace, which is a commemoration of Martin Luther King weekend and the sacrifices that have been made for civil rights and the ultimate sacrifice of giving someone's life in the name of peace, and also to unfortunately acknowledge that we have so much farther to go. And having said that, I chose the Yolanda video because it really does speak to a time when maybe, dare I say, we had more hope and we had leaders who were more inclined to be the peace. So it's a hopeful time. And we hearken back to that. So what does being in the field, being a part of the field, and being the peace actually mean? Well, if you think about it, right, we have a gift of life, and with that comes a responsibility that we carry. And the responsibility is to go out and be the peace and to be better people, to represent, to be ambassadors for Christ, to have the Christ energy. And it doesn't matter if you are Jewish, you can have the Christ energy, and you can be a Hindu and have the Christ energy. Christos is an anointing, and we're all anointed. So we all have that gift that we can share with one another. Many paths, one God, right? That's what we celebrate in unity and in New Thought communities. And we're so blessed to have that teaching and that revelation that's been given to us. So I thought about it a lot, and I said, we have such an impact on each other, right? Even if I'm just walking around and I just bump into... Oh, Barbara, I'm so sorry. Did I just bump into you? Okay. We carry energy. From my talk about road rage, it can happen anywhere. It can be in the street. It can be in your car. It can be on your job. It could be in your family, right? We're all impacting one another. So why don't we impact each other positively with a positive energy? Yes. So part of that is setting the intention before you leave the house, praying yourself up, and just telling yourself, I'm going to be the peace today. No matter what happens to me when I leave the house today, I'm going to be the peace. And that's sometimes hard to do, but it's just like being on a diet, right? Like me. Always on again, off again, right? I love red velvet cake. So I know if I'm going to a party, that's something I have to stay away from. That's the bane of my existence, is the red velvet cake, right? It's like, look at it and gain weight. Okay. So that's something I set my mind to do before I leave the house. I know I'm not going to eat that cake. So if we set the intention that we're going to be peaceful before we leave our house, the likelihood is more than not, maybe not 100%, but with practice, we're going to get there. Right? Right. So that's a positive thing to do, Set yourself up so that you won't be upset. And I want to share with you, probably some of you know because they've read my bio so many times here, but I do manage a counseling center in Asheville. We do psychotherapy as well as speech therapy and some other specialties. And I have to tell you something. Recently, my therapists have seen a real uptick in business. Now, that might be good for them. We applaud their prosperity and their full patient loads, and they're doing very well in their careers. But it's also a sad reflection of where we are as a society. And it's not to say that people shouldn't go for therapy. Obviously, if you need it, you go. But what they're reporting back to me is that they have seen elevated instances of panic attacks, mood disorders, fear-related things. In general, a lot of anxiety. Let's just use that word anxiety, okay? Overall anxiety. And I feel for them because, the people are suffering. They're really suffering. So the good thing is that they go for help. The bad thing is that they're suffering. So not everybody has access to Unity, although they should come on down. Come on down and check it out, right? We have a philosophy that might help you through some of those things. And maybe you wouldn't be so much in that place of anxiety and despair. When I was a kid growing up, we used to use music as a healer, and I'm going to talk a lot today about music because that's really important to me. And when I was growing up, there was a wonderful gentleman named Marvin Gaye, who's now deceased. May he rest in peace. I said, love me some Marvin. Okay. And Marvin used to sing that song, make me want to holler, throw up both my hands. Yeah, make me wanna holler, throw up both my hands. Ow, right? Time is increasing, right? So we think about that, and it was a good song when I was a teenager because I was an angry teenager, so it really fit me good. But I said, you know what? It sounded really good back then. It still sounds really good now. And it could fit right into these times, you know? Unfortunately, I say that. Be the peace. Don't be angry. So I've talked with you a few individually. You may know some of my background and some of you don't. But I grew up basically in New York, although I've lived all over the United States. And I grew up in a very ethnically mixed family as well as a racially mixed neighborhood. And during that time, I have developed, I think, some really good skills. I'd like to say maybe I have an advantage. I don't know. Maybe it's just scars. But I think I have an advantage to deal with some of the things that we're going through today. So I just want to share a little bit of them with you. I'm the daughter of an immigrant. Yes, I use the I word, immigrant. And that's a bone of contention these days. My father did not speak English, and I was raised in New York. You know, it was a different upbringing than my typical American friends had, right? But I learned a lot from him. I grew up, it was kind of tough, and had friends of all cultures. I mean, religions, races. Later on, you know, as an adult, I had children, I have grandchildren. I know you're supposed to say, hard to believe. Okay. It's like, yes, placate me with compliments, I'll take them. So I have a daughter, she's biracial, and I have a son, and he is kind of like a Heinz 57 meat sauce tenderizer type person. And I have two granddaughters, they're both beautiful. My daughter married a Puerto Rican, and I have two granddaughters that are just gorgeous, but they're like night and day. One is kind of caramel colored, she has like a Hawaiian look to her, and the other one is more similar to my complexion. And with her permission today, I want to also share to you that she felt confident and trustful enough to come out to me last year. And we support her in her coming out and just being herself. And we just say that's beautiful. So inside my house, I truly do have my own coalition rainbow. And I'm really proud of that because, you know, it makes us who we are. Everybody's free to be who they are. Right. So amen to that. Yes, amen. And, you know, it might not sound that unusual because today we see a lot of diversity, right? We see a lot of mixed families and just different types of things. And you say, oh, so what's so big about that, right? I can turn on the Kardashians and watch that, right? Well, let me tell you, they're just copies. Okay, some people were the originals, all right. But what I want to say is that was 60 years ago. And 60 years ago, it wasn't normal. And 60 years ago, we were still struggling. And 60 years ago, we were watching actors like Sidney Poitier make movies called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? And, you know, we can laugh about it. And I look back now, I laugh. It wasn't funny then. Now we can turn on the TV and watch a show like This Is Us. Do we have any This Is Us fans? Oh, yeah. All right. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you a funny story. The first year that This Is Us came on, I watched the pilot episode, and it harkened back to some things in my childhood that I didn't want to be reminded about. So I shut it off, and I said, you know what, I can't watch this. I can't engage. I can't invest myself. It's too emotional. I said, I'll never be able to afford Kleenex. I said, I'll have to, you know, take a stock in Kleenex Incorporated, and I shut it down. But over the summer, NBC was nice enough to go ahead and repeat all of year one again. So this time I got my courage up and I said, all right, I'm going to go and look at it. I'm going to see what they're showing, what they're talking about, right? And lo and behold, I saw my life flashing before myself on the screen there. And I said, wow. And now we're in year 2 and I'm hooked. So I share that with you because, you know, amongst all the laughter, there were a lot of hard times. My family was very rigid, very European, really believed in not going outside of the family. And we had something that I don't think people do anymore, but, you know, there's a technique, very archaic, called disownment and shunning. And during the time I was coming up, not to depress you, I'm not sad about it, I was probably out of the family for about 10 years, but I had a cousin who got it really bad, I'll just say this. She married a Muslim, and she was disowned till death. So it was a really, really hard time in our family for all of us, for the people that it was happening to, as well as the people around us who were forced to follow this shunning rule. And I want to say, don't feel bad for me, because I think the isolation actually grew me up into be the strong, capable person that I am today. So I bless it. I bless it. And I say, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for helping me. But back to the neighborhood. So we grew up in Queens, New York. And even as a little kid, even though I didn't understand like a lot of things, I knew that something incredible, positive was happening in our neighborhood, because we would all play together, Jewish kids, black kids, white kids, and then the kids don't see color. It was the parents that would come in and start saying, well, I don't really want you intermixing and this and that, and cause a whole ruckus, you know? And I don't want to lie and tell you that everything was kumbaya, because it wasn't. But for the most part, the kids really got along. And, you know, we knew who the racists were in our midst. And, you know, we tried to shut them down as best as we could, but we were kids. You know, we were kind of powerless. So what could really we could do? Not so much, right? So I think about those times, and I want to share with you how I got through them. And there's 3 things really mainly that I wanted to focus on today. And we'll talk about tools in a second, because I want to give you some tools for your toolbox before you leave today. And if you want to take notes, that's fine too, or just listen, that's great as well. My first way of dealing with a lot of the pain that was going on was really my relationship with God. I had an incredible spiritual connection to God. Jesus, went to Catholic school, you know, really grounded me in a good faith tradition, even though I ultimately had to leave it because I outgrew it. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have value. And the second thing that helped me, and you know, you could do 2 or 3 in any order, was humor, sense of humor. You know I'm a wackadoodle, okay. I have a wicked sense of humor, and I love it, okay. And the third thing was music. And music really helped us get by, as I'm sure sometimes, you know, all of you do. When you're sad, put on a sad song. When you're happy, put on a happy song. Music is a wonderful tool. And we used music a lot when we were kids to overcome things that we were going through. You know, whether it was the Beatles or Marvin Gaye or the Rolling Stones or James Brown or whoever it was, we were all over the place and everybody listened to everything and it was cool. You know, and there was one station on the radio that had like kind of like pop tunes over here, and then on the other side there was an R&B station, and they had mixed things. They would play jazz sometimes, and they would play gospel sometimes, and sometimes you'd get a baseball game. I don't know what that was about, but anyway. All right. So you had your potpourri of things that you could pick from. It didn't matter if you're white or black. You just, you know, whatever you felt called to listen to. And I listened to everything, you know, but I really liked the gospel music, you know. I was very, very, very taken with it. And my mom, you know, sat me down one day. You know, when anybody tells you that they got to talk to you and you need to sit down, you know something's coming, right? So I'm walking around the house singing a Tessie Hill song, you know, about the Lord keeps doing great things for me, right? And she says, I need to talk to you for a second. You know, can you sit down? And I was like, yeah, sure. She's like, we're concerned about you. I'm like, what are you concerned about? Well, we don't know. We keep hearing you singing this song about the Lord is doing great things for you. And I'm like, well, yeah, well, he does, you know. God, you know. I don't understand, why are you doing this? Because it's a really good song. I mean, I'm an American Bandstand girl. You know, I give it a 95. It's got a good beat. I can dance to it, all right? You know, I like this song. She goes, but we don't sing that in our church code. Okay. I said, okay, well, what's wrong with it? You send me to Catholic school, you make me go to church every Sunday. And I go, I'm just singing a song about God, really. It's like no big thing. She's like, fine. She walks off in a huff. Now, fast forward, 20 years later, I'm married, and I'm cooking dinner one night, and I'm in the kitchen. I've got my CD player going, and I just had picked up this new CD from an artist, a country artist that I had never heard of before, named Clint Black. Anybody know Clint Black? Okay. So, actually, I saw him in concert not too long ago. This is funny. I'm sorry. Memories. And I'm kind of grooving around in the kitchen to my CD, and my husband comes walking in the room, and he goes, Grace, what is that? And I said, it's Clint Black. It's this new CD I picked up. He goes, is that country music I hear? And I said, yeah. He goes, Grace, I'm concerned about you. Country music in this house? Grace, how could you? He goes, we're rockers, man. We're rockers. We don't listen to country music in our house. I said, okay, well, maybe you don't listen to country music. I said, but I do now. And he goes, I don't want to hear it. Take it off. So I said, look, how about we compromise? I'll try to play this CD when you're not home. All right, is that good? And he's like, fine. Walks off in a huff. And I laugh because it's funny now. It wasn't funny then. And I was like, why has everybody got such issues? We were blessed coming up to have such great, remember crossover artists like in the 60s and the 70s, right? They'd make a rock and roll tune and then all of a sudden they'd be on another station doing something else. And one that really comes to mind that really, I think, gets the gold star in that area is African-American named Lionel Richie. Now, Lionel Richie used to be the lead singer of a band, Commodores, right? Exactly. I saw the Commodores, and I want to tell you, they put on a very nice show. And they opened up for Bob Marley, who, sorry to tell you, blew away the Commodores. But in fact of that, both very good performers. Well, Lionel Richie actually was with the Commodores in the late 70s, and then in the 80s and the 90s, he went out on a solo career, and he switched over to pop music. And he got very, very, very famous of pop music, right? And don't you know, in 2012, he made a country CD. So this man has so much talent, so much diversity, and I praise it because let me tell you why. In my heart, even as a little kid, I knew that if you could touch people across musical genres, then you would be able to unite people. Yes. Even as a little kid, I knew that. Mm-hmm. And it really comes to me. And I think another one, not so much as Lionel Richie, but I'm thinking about Darius Rucker. Do you know Hootie and the Blowfish? He left them, and now he's doing country music. So all these people, I hope that they were not listening to anyone telling them that people were concerned, because that could really hold back a person's artistic development and kind of put them in a state of doubt. And you can't doubt, when you're being told to do something, when you get the spirit in you and you get you're getting that voice and that message. Like when I get my talks, these talks are channeled to me. Sometimes I dream them, sometimes I get them during a meditation, sometimes I'm doing something very quiet, and it'll just come to me. And when Marty called me and told me what he wanted as the topic, I told him what I was planning to do, and he was like, oh, okay, that sounds interesting. Can't wait to see how it goes. He was very supportive. Like I said, we have that tie, that third degree of separation, and I love chatting with him. So I look back and I say, there's so many things to be concerned about. Were those the things that anybody really should have been concerned about? No. So do you want to know what I'm concerned about? Yes. Oh, glad you asked. Thank you. Thank you. I was listening to the Yolanda CD the other day, and I about wore that out. I'm glad it still has grooves. And I was thinking about what you said, the things we do, the things we say. But I said, isn't it a little deeper than that? Shouldn't we go beyond that? isn't it really about the things that we don't do and the things we don't say? How many times have we been confronted in a situation where someone has said something to us really negative or racial or something untoward, and we don't say anything? And there's some complicitness associated with us not speaking up? That's something I would be concerned about, right? So what I wanted to talk to you about today is taking small steps to open big doors, because we're all part of the field, and I want us all to be the peace. So if you can do that, and I say if you want to take notes, take notes. If you don't want to, just listen. I got a lot to unpack here, so here we go. Completely random thought. I went to a grocery shop about a month ago, and I saw a bumper sticker that I had never seen before, and it said, "Ignore your rights and they will go away." Isn't that amazing? Ignore your rights and they will go away. And that stuck in my brain like I was dreaming about it. I was like, whoa. Such a simple sentence, but so powerful, the words. And, the issue at hand for us to process as New Thought seekers and teachers is truth. And it's not just a happy-go-lucky phrase. We go, yeah, I'm all about the truth. I'm trying to be a truth seeker. Okay, that's really great. But right now, unfortunately, people are being taught to fear. Yes. And that is something that concerns me. So you ask, what am I concerned about? That's what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about purposely teaching people to fear, because that goes against everything that we believe as a New Thought community. Everything, because we're always looking for the truth. So how do we cut through it? How do we navigate through the murky waters of the oppression that's in our current times? So I could be sarcastic and say, well, one way is to just intellectualize it. I could be an intellectual and just say, well, this is just apparently a backlash from the 60s because somebody gave somebody too many rights before they should have had them, and now it's a correction. Because if I was an intellectual, I might think that way, right? Another way is to pray it away, to stay in a positive mindset and just be in denial and just go, I don't see what's going on. It's not bothering me. It doesn't affect me. Another way, like I said earlier, is to set your intention, which is part of the month's prayer that we read earlier, is to set an intention to be the peace. But remember, just staying in peace for peace sake is not enough. And we can't get angry because we want to be considered relevant. We want to be considered credible. We want to be considered effective. And if we're yelling and screaming all the time, no one's going to listen to us. But just remember, ignore your rights, and they will go away. So how do we start? So, of course, the antidote for fear is love. But I want to suggest a new love, a strategic love that can conquer systematic hate. We can do better, okay? Remember, ignore your rights and they will go away because there's so much deliberate misinformation being thrown at us. Now breathe. I'm going to go a little deeper. Like I said, New Thought communities are about truth. And to be clear, let me stress, I'm not suggesting that anyone go and do anything dangerous or hurt themselves, or don't even try to lecture people who don't have the same beliefs as you, because that's not going to work. That's not going to work. But I have something that was channeled to me as part of the talk. A one message statement was channeled to me, and I want to read that to you. And the message that came to me was, the task is. Okay, that was the title. The task is to offer love selflessly towards others outside in the world so that we can selfishly love ourselves back to surviving this hot mess we've gotten into. And Spirit does say hot mess. Yes, Spirit does say hot mess. Spirit talks just like we do,
They don't talk in spiritual language that has to be decoded. So, to offer love selflessly to others outside in the world so that we can selfishly love ourselves back into this hot mess we've gotten ourselves into. Mm-hmm. Now, please continue to breathe. Notice I kept saying the word we. And you might be saying, who's she talking to? I didn't do anything. I'm not part of the we. I'm not part of that I. Well, you know, as New Thought truth seekers, we're all part of the we. Stay with me. Remember, to be clear in our theory, we believe in something called race consciousness that has nothing to do with race, although this time it's going to impinge upon it slightly. So I just give that caveat to be aware of what I'm talking about. Race consciousness is the collective baggage that we carry through with us from century to century in our evolution whenever we incarnate what we are collective as a group. And that includes any hidden angers, any coded prejudices, any unforgiveness that we're still harboring. Any of that anger is all pulled together and it becomes a scourge, this scourge that we're being put upon right now. So how do we let go? We need to let go. The good news is, like we talked about back in August, okay, when I was here, we talked about the dark is finally being exposed. And you're probably saying to yourself, well, why does it have to be exposed during my watch? You know? Well, this is the thing, and I want you all to remember something. You've been chosen to be here at this time. So that's part of the duty that I talked about being part of the field, is that responsibility that you carry is that you are chosen to be here to counteract that. So don't take it lightly, because you're all well equipped. You wouldn't be here now as light seekers and healers if you weren't to be part of the solution. So that's the good news. You know, it's true. The dark is being exposed. It's final. It's here. It's ugly. It's really ugly. And it's almost unbelievable at times. But it's like a train wreck, right? It's like, I can't look away. It's like, what's happening today? What happened now? Tell me what's new. Blah, 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 right? And then it's like you could get whiplash trying to figure out and follow what's going on. And spiritual people say, well, just turn off the TV. Turn it off. Well, you know, you can do that. But remember, ignore your rights and they will go away. So what I would just ask is, if you strike a balance, find whatever balance that is where you can be comfortable in your heart and in your mind, where you can be informed, but not yet sucked in the undertow. Okay? So let us work towards eradicating the situation and bringing the light. So I'm going to give you some suggestions for your toolbox today, if you're ready. We can be persuaders and influencers by building relationships and inspiring people. So how do we do that? I would suggest safely pick your battles. Not everything is a battle. Choose something that's really important to you. So if you're conversing with someone who you have an issue with, that might be something you want to think about. You don't want to hit them with everything, you know, in your backpack. You know, just pick one thing, talk with them. Educate yourself in one specific area so that you can educate others, and use facts instead of opinions. Mm-hmm. That's another good tool. Yes. Discern carefully when you're going to say something to someone. Timing is everything. Be sensitive. Be caring. You know, people are really, really touchy right now. Mm-hmm. And we want you to be empathetic. Be caring. And figure out how you will say something, because your delivery is really important. Okay? Think about what you say before you say it. And be present for the person. Just remember, not encouraging any kind of rude or righteous behavior. All conversation must be respectful. You must be present for people, and it's especially important to be present for people that you don't agree with.
You will build a relationship with them when they see that you can be empathetic to their side of the story, okay, even though you don't agree with them. So trust is important, building trust, building respect, and establishing a common ground. So you want to know, well, how am I going to do this? You know, this person is totally 180 degrees opposite of what I believe. I totally do not have a relationship with them. Okay, so maybe be curious. Folks love to talk about themselves and they love to tell their story, so ask questions. Just ask questions. Show a sincere interest. That's going to open a door. Another thing relates back to education. You can say to someone, you know, I believe I have something really valuable for you or something that may be of interest to you, okay? Another tool is to offer humor. Believe me, people need a good laugh right now, okay? Laughter is healing, you know? People need humor, love, and attention. So they may be hurting. You may just, you know, be that one person to come along that's going to put a smile on their day, like Yolanda said, make their day, right? Or you can offer assistance, and it doesn't have to be monetary. It could just be something like, hey, how can I help? How can I be of assistance to you? How may I best hear you, help you, right? And the other thing is to be a resource. You can share with someone that you have an expertise in something and offer yourself as a resource. Now, if you open up your heart and you do that for someone that you're not agreeing with and they kind of don't take you up on it right away, I don't want you to feel rebuffed or hurt, you know, get your feelings hurt, because you never know when someone's going to come back to you 2 or 3 months later and just go, oh, hey, remember when you told me you would help me with this, or that you know about XYZ? I'm ready to talk about that now, or I need some help with that now. So just be a resource, a known resource. I actually had this in my job site because I have these different therapists that work on my staff, and I had a new fellow come in from Raleigh, and he didn't know anybody in Asheville, and what I had told him was I used to do business development and business expansion when I was in the corporate arena. I had 2 or 3 careers, and one of them was doing, you know, business expansion, and he said to me, oh, that's okay, I'll be able to build my business, you know, fine, no problems, I don't need any help. And I thought, wow, very confident fellow, that's great. So here it is a few months later, and he contacts me and he says to me, you know, maybe we should sit down, I'd like to pick your brain, I need some help trying to expand my business. So, you know, it's like I put the offer out there, and he came and he took me up on it. So we're going to be meeting, and I'm going to be giving him some pointers next week. So these strategies do work. You know, I just want to tell you a short story that happened to me, because a lot of people think that they never can say things at the right time. And I just want to show you briefly how I did something. It was a little uncomfortable, but you know what? It's all good. It's all good. We're all in this together. I want to share with you a Christmas dinner that I had with some people that decided they wanted to just pick on one particular group of people. And the ethnic group of the day that day happened to be Muslims. And I was there as a guest. And we know everyone's taken their hot seat. In the 1920s, it was the Irish that came over. They said Irish need not apply. In the 1940s, it was the Italians need not apply. And every race group has gone through the discrimination, if you want to call it, or the outcasting or whatever, the non-acceptance of being put into this country's workforce. So this particular dinner I was at as a guest, because I had married their children, and the father had a real penchant, whatever it was, he was on a kick, and I would just show you some of these tools, how they can be put into play. He made some comment at the beginning of the dinner, and he said something about, oh, those, you know, blah, blah, blah. He goes, they're so whatever, you know. And I just said, oh, look at the bird that's flying through your living room. Distraction. Just a silly little thing. Distraction, change the subject, right? The next hour, he felt, even though I had done that, to bring something up again. And he had said something like, oh, did you hear about the violence that, you know, that Muslim guy caused, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like,
wow, did you happen to hear about the bomb that was placed in Asheville Regional Airport a couple of months ago? And he was like, no. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I didn't hear about it. And I said, yeah, the kid went in there around 12 o'clock in the morning, left a backpack with the bomb, with screws and all the stuff in there. And, just luckily they caught him and blah, blah, blah. I said, it's really lucky because I was due to come through the airport. I said that night I was traveling back from New York into North Carolina. And I said, God is good. And he was like, well, I don't understand. How come I didn't hear about it? And I said, well, yeah, they kept it off of the news. And he goes, I don't understand. He goes, why? He goes, why didn't I hear about it? I said, maybe because the kid wasn't Muslim. And it's true, he wasn't. And you'd think after that he would have stopped, right? But he kept going. And the last thing he said to me, he goes, well, I don't understand. They stay in their own communities and they don't assimilate and they don't want to learn English and all this. And I said, what's really ironic? I said, I had an aunt, and this is true. I said, she came here and she was a housewife. Her husband went to work. She raised 3 daughters, another immigrant family, and she just never bothered to learn English the whole 50 years she was here. I said, I can't defend it. I don't understand it. I said, but it is. That's the way it was sometimes. I said, and I felt a little bad for throwing my aunt under the bus, so to speak. May she rest in peace. But I said, you know what? A little self-deprecating goes back to the humor. A little self-deprecating humor is not something that you can't use at times if that's a technique that you're okay with. And I felt comfortable with it because you know what? It was truth. I was speaking truth. I wasn't speaking badly. I was just talking about a fact that happened in our community, in my family's community. And we speak many languages in my family. But for some reason, she just decided not to speak English. And I just shared that with him. You know what? And then he got quiet. And then towards the end of the night, he kind of pulled me aside. And I'm not going to tell you what he said right now because it's too much. But he whispered something in my ear before I left, and it was like the non-denial denial. And he let me know that he heard me. So I felt, I don't want to use the word vindicated, but I felt heard. And that's what I wanted to share with you. There's ways that you can employ these techniques without being a rabble-rouser, without, going crazy. If you think, sometimes even in advance, but if you really feel very courageous that you can take that step to kind of, crack open that door a little bit and be the light, maybe wonderful things can happen because I know we have the tools, we have the strength, we have the insight, we have the light, we're anointed, we're empowered, we're equipped. And I really believe that if we try just a little harder, we'll be able to do that. So I hope this message helped you and reached you. And, think about some of these things. If you can accept the challenge to go forward and maybe use some of these techniques in your upcoming weeks and months. And I'll pray everyone out this morning to say, thank you, Mother, Father, God, for giving us the special message during a special weekend. We are so very grateful for your spirit, your love, your strength. Please help to guide us along this path as we try to bring more light into the darkness and dispel it as quickly as possible. We are so grateful for your love and your care. And we release it to the universe knowing it is already so, and so it is. Amen. Thank you.
I don't know. If you want to get up and sing and dance, please feel free. Sometimes I'm right and I can be wrong. My own beliefs are in my song. The butcher, the banker, the drummer, and then makes no difference what group I'm in. I am everyday people. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There is a blue one who can't accept the green one, for living with the fat one, trying to be a skinny one. Different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on. And Scooby-Dooby-Dooby. We gotta live together. I am no better, and neither are you. We are the same, whatever we do. You love me, you hate me, you know me, and then you can't figure out the bag I'm in. I am everyday people. Yeah, yeah. There is a long hair that doesn't like the short hair, for being such a rich one that will not help the poor one. Different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on. And Scooby-Dooby-Dooba. Ooh, sha-sha. We gotta live together. There is a yellow one that won't accept the black one, that won't accept the red one, that won't accept the white one. Different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on. And Scooby-Dooby-Dooby. Ooh, sha-sha. I am everyday people.
Reverend Grace Carcich. We're not doing that. I just felt compelled to say that. Okay. No youth today. Do we have join me in the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thanks.
I know. You know, some days you wake up and you're just not feeling right. Not feeling centered, not feeling connected, not feeling good. So on those days when that happens, my cure for that is I start making a gratitude list. Start naming those things I'm thankful for, and almost immediately start feeling that connection, start feeling centered, excited, exuberant, and kind of like this.
Wanna jump, hey, yeah. I'm in the spirit today. My faith is stronger. My joy lasts longer, hey. I'm in the spirit today. Oh, hey, hey, I'm in the spirit today. Good enough, I am pure love, hey, hey. I'm in the spirit today. I am forgiven. I am. Amen. I'm in the Spirit today. Hey, hey, I'm in the Spirit today. It's fascinating, invigorating. It's breathtaking. I'm celebrating. I'm in the Spirit today.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. I'm one in the Spirit, angels are infinite. Hey, I'm in the Spirit today. My voice wants to shout. I'm living in no doubt. Hey, I'm in the Spirit today. Hey, hey, I'm in the Spirit today. See now, I'm dancing all around. I was lost, but I'm found. Hey, hey, I'm in the Spirit today. See now, my pulse is racing. Ain't Spirit amazing? I'm in the Spirit today. Hey, hey, I'm in the Spirit today. Oh, love is unfailing, inside this dwelling. Hey, good joy prevailing, my soul is swelling. Hey, I'm in the Spirit today. Spirit today. Hey, 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 I'm in the Spirit today. Hey, hey, I'm in the Spirit today. Let's go. Hey, hey, I'm in the Spirit today. Oh, yeah. Hey, hey, I'm in the Spirit today. Hey, 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 I'm in the Spirit today. Hey, hey, I'm in the Spirit today. Woo! That was wow, Cindy, that was fun.
And now our big song.
Moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Now there is peace on earth. You might get this. And it has begun.